whispers in your head aren't yours. They come from a world that confuses speed with success and noise with wisdom. This world decides your worth has an expiry date, but never says it out loud. You've absorbed these voices slowly, like rain carving stone. They plant doubts, telling you the race ended before you even began. They say, if you didn't succeed when you were young, you never will. And after enough late-night scrolling and polite questions about your life, you start to wonder if they're right. But time has a strange way of disguising its real work. The years you've spent wandering, stumbling, beginning again, they were not wasted. They were seasons of unseen architecture, of foundations too deep for anyone else to notice. You were not falling behind. You were anchoring yourself against the storms to come. Early success is often the fruit of shallow roots, quick to ripen, quick to rot. You, on the other hand, have been weathering the long winter, letting your resilience grow thick and quiet beneath the surface. We live in an age that confuses being seen with being significant. The young are celebrated not because they have arrived, but because they are loud enough to be noticed. Yet it is the ones who arrive late who carry the weight that reshapes the ground. They do not sprint to keep up with a clock they never agreed to obey. They move when the time is right, not when the crowd demands it. And when they do, their steps are deliberate, each one echoing long after it lands. The culture loves to crown prodigies because it fears the patient ones. The late bloomers cannot be mapped, cannot be predicted. They are invisible until they aren't, and by then, they have grown too strong to uproot. This is why your so-called delay is not a curse. It's a kind of shield. You were spared the fragility that comes from winning before you've learned who you are. You've been spared the hollow applause that demands you perform a version of yourself that doesn't yet exist. Somewhere along the way, the story was written that our prime is a brief window in our 20s, and everything after is a slow decline. But that myth serves those who profit from our insecurity. It keeps us buying, chasing, performing, trying to preserve the illusion of youth instead of deepening into the truth of maturity. No one told you that the mind does not even reach full clarity until long after the age the world says you should be finished. You are not behind. You are ripening. And when fruit ripens too fast, it spoils. When it ripens in its own time, it nourishes. The question is not whether you have missed your chance, but whether you are willing to stop measuring your life by the pace of someone else's. That's the only timeline that matters, the one that belongs to you alone. This is the unspoken power of arriving late. You no longer chase validation. You no longer burn energy trying to fit into shapes you've outgrown. You start to value silence over spectacle, substance over speed. You stop asking if you're keeping up and start asking if what you're building will still matter when you're gone. What you've endured, every rejection, every season of invisibility, every year spent wondering if you'd lost the thread, has not been a detour. It's been a kiln. And while others raced ahead with brittle structures, you have been tempered by the fire. This is why your rise will look different. It will not be an explosion. It will be an emergence. An emergence is dangerous because it is deliberate. The loud ones burn their fuel, proving they belong. The quiet ones wait until their roots are too deep to be pulled. You've already lived through the silence, the doubt, the temptation to settle. You've already been underestimated. And when you finally decide to step forward, you won't just join the race. You'll redefine the course entirely. The world will not prepare for you because it doesn't see you coming. That's the advantage. While they've been chasing the spotlight, you've been watching from the shadows, gathering patterns, learning what lasts and what fades. You've been practicing not just how to act, but how to be. And there's a difference. You don't rise because the world grants permission. You rise because the time has come. And when it does, you won't need to announce it. You'll simply move, and the ground will shift beneath your feet. There comes a point when the silence you've been living in begins to feel less like exile and more like sanctuary. At first, You fought against it. You wanted the noise, the constant hum of attention, the proof that you were still relevant. But then something shifted. You began to hear your own thoughts without the static of comparison. You began to feel the weight of decisions without rushing to match the pace of everyone else's urgency. And in that stillness, you discovered something that most people never do: the difference between moving fast and moving true. Fast is frantic, reactive, desperate to arrive anywhere that feels like arrival. True is deliberate, rooted, shaped by vision rather than circumstance. The fast builder is at the mercy of applause. The true builder is at the mercy of purpose. And purpose, unlike applause, is patient. It does not beg for an audience. It waits until you're ready to bear the weight of it. But make no mistake, purpose is heavy. It will demand that you shed the costumes you've worn to be liked. It will demand that you release the identities you've outgrown. It will demand that you face the possibility that the person you thought you were meant to be was never real, just a reflection of the people who needed you to be that way. This is why so many avoid the deeper work. It's not because they can't find their purpose. It's because they sense the price of carrying it. The truth is, there's a grief in transformation. Not the public kind with tears and ceremonies, but the quiet grief of losing the familiar version of yourself. Even when that version was tired, limited, or false, it was yours. It was safe. Letting go feels like betrayal, but in reality, it's an act of devotion to the self you're becoming. The paradox is that in order to evolve, you must first allow a part of yourself to die. And death, even the symbolic kind, is rarely celebrated. You'll find yourself in that strange middle ground where the old you is gone, but the new you has yet to fully appear. This is the void, the shapeless, timeless expanse where nothing feels certain and everything feels possible. Most people panic here. They mistake the absence of identity for the absence of worth. They run back to the old labels, the old circles, the old rhythms, anything to avoid the discomfort of being undefined. But here's the truth the noisemakers never tell you. The void is where the real alchemy happens. Invisibility is not the opposite of progress. It's the condition for it. Just as seeds germinate in darkness, your next self is being formed in this space where no one is watching. It is here that the muscles of patience are built, the instincts of discernment sharpened, the map of your true direction drawn in invisible ink. And when you finally emerge, the change will be irreversible, not because you'll have achieved some external milestone, but because you will have altered the very architecture of how you live. The people who once doubted you will not understand it. They'll see you in the same places, maybe even in the same clothes, but they'll sense a difference they can't name. You will no longer be negotiating for your value. You will no longer be asking for permission to be who you are. You will simply be it. The late bloomers' greatest strength is that they are underestimated. No one prepares for them. No one guards against them. No one expects them to disrupt the rhythm. And that's precisely why they can. You've been walking quietly, eyes open, seeing what others miss in their rush to be first. You've been collecting the raw materials, resilience, pattern recognition, self-awareness, without even knowing it. And when it's time, those materials will build something that can't be torn down by opinion or trend. The world will always reward speed in the short term, but history belongs to those who endure. The question is no longer whether you've missed your chance. The question is whether you're willing to stay in the shadows long enough to emerge unshakable, because that's the trade. You don't get to rise quickly and deeply at the same time. You choose one. And you, whether you realize it yet or not, have chosen depth.